Hello. Good evening, everyone. All two people. Good evening. Today we're going to talk about some things and some niggatry that I've seen. Um, I played the intro for a little bit so that I could say the word niggatry without YouTube demonetizing me. Not that I'm monetized, but maybe one day. Okay, we already have twerkers in the chat. Good evening. Um, Hello, Cantor. Itty says, I think it's important that we leave our loved ones and rob people. Um, all right. Well, I disagree with that. But yeah, good evening, everyone. Hello, D Nice. I haven't seen you guys in a while. I've been out here in the streets doing um, what Shark Zero would probably call fatherless behavior. So, yes, y'all better twerk in these comments. Hello, Ronell. Good morning, I guess, for you. It's like late in the evening here. It's like 7 p.m. Central. So I have no clue where y'all are. But let me start us off with some mess. Um, oh no. What? I lost the link. Hello, Mara. Welcome. As I look for the link. Because this was really interesting to me, actually. This just like popped up now. So it's just a little icebreaker while we wait for the main topic, which is obviously going to be brain cancer. Mm-hmm. Brain cancer. Okay, let me share my screen. Let's do our icebreaker. And yes, thank you for welcoming the panda in the back too. Let's do our icebreaker because apparently these people have something to say. Let's see what they have to say.
A-hole for refusing to pay for my stepdaughter's wedding.
Wait, okay. Let me get out my notepad. I want to take notes. We want to make sure we're responding cohesively and that we are addressing his concerns. Okay. He says, there we go. Hello, Aunts. Welcome. Let's see what he says.
Because her real daddy is the one that's going to walk her down the aisle. So let me tell you guys about my stepdaughter, all right? She wants her real daddy to walk her down the aisle. Now, let me give you a little backstory on me and my stepdaughter. She just graduated from university, which I paid for. Now, she went to an in-state university, but it still cost me about $40,000.
Let me just pause. We haven't got into. I just think this is weird because let me see. I want to make this like that. Okay. I just think it's weird so far because he was like, let me tell you about the relationship between me and my daughter. So I thought he was going to be like, I took her to prom and we bonded when she was little. We used to play in the park, or I helped her when she was going through woman troubles and becoming a. I thought it was going to be more personal, but like off the bat, he's like, I paid for this and I paid for that and I paid for this. So that feels weird to me because if you ask me about my relationship with anybody, I'm probably not going to start listing off like the stuff that I pay for. So that's a little weird, but we're trying to come in this open and not judge people. So let's see what he has to say. Hello, Unks, by the way, in Bullet Magnet. Here we go. Yes, here we go.
Now, I also bought her a car. I bought her a car straight after high school. That way she could go back and forth to school. I bought her a car. She still lives with me and her mother. She does not have a job. Now, she's set to be married on August the 8th. And for the...
Wait. That's it? He was like, let me give you a little backstory. I paid for this. She's broke. She don't have no job and she lived with me for free. Okay, that's the backstory.
Past 6 months, that's all her mother been talking about doing. Being occupied with, being consumed most of their time. Now, her daddy, he don't contribute to not 1 cent on her. Not her education, not child support, which is partly her mother's fault because, you know, she didn't fight for that. And I guess that's just what the settlement was. And he only around to make.
Okay, so he's upset that the mother didn't fight for child support. Again, I'm just pausing to make sure I'm understanding. So, Okay, here's some background with me and my daughter. I paid for this, this, and that. Now she's been setting up her wedding for the past 6 months. I thought he was going to say, her and I have been picking out different wedding dresses. We've been looking at different venues. I've been like speaking with her and her soon to be husband. And like, I thought it was going to be more personal, but again, he's just like, they're picking all this out in her real daddy ain't helping out with a single penny. So okay, so he did parent duties. He didn't list any parent duties aside from finances, but he can consider himself judge. Yes, he can. And welcome, gorgeous. He didn't list any parent duties to me outside of the financial part. So
Promises, I do that for you, I do this for you, and then take off. And then she'd be heartbroken. But she adores her father, right? So, like I said, she said to be married in August. And the wedding venue, I told them they can have it in my home. The wedding venue can hold about 250 people, right? Now I said, hey, I got a list of 20 people that I want to come to the wedding. I'm paying for this at my house. I want these 20 people to come. Do y'all know Saturday, I see one of my friends at the golf course, right? He's supposed to come to the wedding. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna see you at the wedding, right? He said, I only got an announcement. I didn't get an invite. I'm like, nah. I'll let my girlfriend and stepdaughter know to send out the invitations on these few people, and you're supposed to get an invite. He said, I got something, but it was an announcement. So we walked to his car because I want to check, right? And sure enough, it was an announcement. So I went and talked to my girlfriend and said, did you invite those 20 people to the wedding that I told you about? Man, she didn't invite none of them. She said 250 people was a little tight, and I don't think we can get your 20 people in there. Man, I was pissed.
okay, I agree with him on this part. Well, maybe I'm like unpopular, but I don't know 20 people. So, well, y'all are all invited to the wedding if I ever have one. All 13 of y'all. But I don't even know 20 people, so 250 seems like more than enough for me. And if I'm paying for the wedding and holding it at my venue, I would like to have some say in like, well, not even if I'm holding or paying for the wedding, but rather I feel like the people who are going to be coming to the venue is going to be half of my family if I'm well, our half of the family, so the father and the mother on my side, well, me and my wife, I guess, our families, and then on the husband's side, his father and mother. So I think that's like reasonable as far as I want some of my family or close friends to come to my daughter's wedding. I think that's completely reasonable.
And the people that were supposed to come, they pissed as well. Then she's gonna say if any other people that we already invited don't RSVP, then we'll get some of your people in here. I'm like, what? Man, that's crazy, man. Don't even worry about it, man. I'll just be mad. All right. So now, the crazy part about it is when I check the invitations, they don't even have my name on them. They have her real daddy and her on the invitation that I paid for. I paid for these invitations. How you got a real daddy on there, her mama on there? Cool.
This part I don't understand. I'm confused about if the other father is in the child's life, because so far he said I pay for everything and the other father doesn't pay for anything because he's not on child support. But I don't know what his and the other father's relationship is with their daughter. So I mean, is the other father more involved in the child's life than you are? Because he hasn't listed a single thing that he's done as far as child care outside of finances. So I can understand if being hurt if he's paying for it, but I can't even invite a few people. That's silly. Yes. Yep. Big side eye. Hello, the other MJ. Welcome to my dusty stream.
A couple days later, I'm hosting the venue at my house, hosting the wedding family at my house, okay? It's me, stepdaughter, girlfriend, groom, and their parents, right? Trying to help everybody get real acquainted. Then a surprise guest shows up, my stepdaughter's real daddy. And I'm like, you know what?
Wait, this don't seem like a real story. How is the stepfather, the real dad, a surprise guest? if you're saying that he's not in the child's life or whatever, and but you're mad that he's on the invite when he's not in the child's life, and how is he on the invite if he's not involved at all, to the point where his presence there is a surprise? I don't know. This story doesn't sound real to me, but
You know what? Cool. He probably just coming to the wedding, right? But tell me why my stepdaughter proceeds to stand up and announce that her real daddy is giving her away at the wedding. What? The wedding that I'm paying for, that in my house, the daddy don't do nothing for you, is giving you away? Oh, and they were just so happy and smiling. Oh, yay, great. Inside, I was fuming. Inside, I wanted to cry or punch somebody. Probably want to do both, honestly. So I took that time to stand up and give a toast as well. I said, you know, I owe the groom and the bride a deep debt of gratitude because they have opened my eyes tonight. Oh, everybody at the table was just smiling. They have let me know that my position in this family is not what I thought it was. Oh, you should have saw the frowns, man. Now they mad. It done got serious. I let them know I am not the godfather or, you know, the head of the family that I thought I was, the loved one that would be seeked out in times of need. Nah. I realized I'm an ATM. Yeah. So.
Well, I don't disagree so far with what he's saying, because as soon as he started talking about, let me tell you some background about my daughter, he said, I pay for this, I pay for her car, I finance this. He didn't tell me a single thing about like having an actual relationship with her. Maybe he was trying to be concise with his story, but well, the whole story sounds fake, but let's let him cook.
Since I have been replaced as host of the wedding, I shall be giving my financial duties to the new host, and I will back out monetarily. Yeah. Yep. Now, after the announcement, a whole lot of snickering was going on around the table, right? A lot of mumbling, but they didn't say anything to me. Nobody addressed me now. Now, later that night, tell me why my girlfriend gonna come to me talking about how I'm ruining so much, how I'm ruining so much for backing out, and how her daughter ain't gonna have her dream wedding, and how her daughter ain't this and that. Okay, well, it's apparent that I'm not family in this family. So the family should take care of it, right? That's my stepdaughter. I mean, it ain't even my stepdaughter, really. It's my girlfriend. I just happen to be around her for the last 10 years. But tell me why the next day, my girl.
It's not actually my stepdaughter. She's my girlfriend. I've just been around for.
Girlfriend trying to show me how much I'm ruined, right? She takes me to where they planning the wedding, and the wedding planner showed me, you know, all the things they got going down, everything they got set up. I look at the venue. They got some father-daughter dances, right? 3 songs. All of them cater to her real dad, not me. I looked at the food they got. 2 of the dishes got stuff I'm allergic to in it. I just started laughing. Like, they want me to pay for this. His name on it, not mine. His songs, not mine. The food, I can't eat the food. And the 20 people out of 250 that they can't even come in my house. Wow.
You know what's funny? I just imagine the daughter talking to her mom and being like, Mom, is your boyfriend coming to the wedding? This actually don't make sense to me. I keep saying let him finish, but I thought this was going to be like a minute long. So, well, let's let him finish. Hopefully he finishes soon, because I have some thoughts.
Okay. It's wild, man. So I went on ahead and let her know I will not be there, and neither will my money. Yeah.
Welcome. I am Anika. Welcome to my channel. We're a lot more dusty than Themis, but welcome anyway. I just came to ensure I'm subscribed to you. Snaps, no claps. I'll be tuning in to you and Themis during my 6-hour drive to my nephew's graduation from med school. Truly appreciate you guys. Well, when you're going to your nephew's graduation, make sure whoever you're dating is financing it, and make sure their name isn't on the invitation. And welcome.
And they would no longer be at my house either. And you would no longer be at my house or your daughter. Because, yeah, I'm not family. I'm not even important enough to be put up on the brochure. It's crazy, man. Yeah.
I need to hear the other side. I need to hear the other side. That was from Tink Nobels on TikTok. Let's give credit where credit is due. Um, so my thoughts. This was not a real story. This is actually fake. He probably made it up. That's my thoughts. Mara said it's a hot mess already. I wouldn't want to be invited with this drama. No, I wouldn't either. Um, it has to be a Reddit post. Well, he started. I think he started by saying, "Am I the a hole?" Let me see.
The a-hole for refusing to pay for my stepdaughter's wedding because her real daddy is the one that's gonna walk her down the aisle.
Okay, yeah. So it sounds like he's reading a "Am I the a hole?" I think that's a subreddit or something. I think it's called a subreddit. Boomer knowledge. There has to be more to this story. The daughter doesn't seem like she likes him. I wonder why. I'm wondering if he actually has. Why did he wait till the end to say, why did you introduce the story like, oh, my stepdaughter invited her real father? And then towards the end of the story, you reveal that y'all aren't married and y'all are actually just boyfriend and girlfriend, and you just been around her for the past 10 years, which I assume is like on and off. Because in my mind, I would be married after a year or two dating somebody. So I don't understand somebody who's 10 years down the line. So, like I said, this girl is probably like, this girl is probably like not connected to this man at all. In my mind, probably not, since you're just her mother's boyfriend, who comes around from time to time. So it doesn't sound like you have any personal relationship with her. It doesn't sound like you have a personal relationship with the mother as well. He said it feels like he's being used as an ATM. I agree, because I you ain't told me about any other aspect of y'all relationship. Now, for me, if I feel like I'm being used for my wallet in a relationship that I care about with my wife, well, I guess this is not his wife, with my girlfriend and her daughter. I feel like this is something I would just talk to them about. It's probably not something I would like wait until the wedding and let resentment build up and then go and make a spectacle at the wedding. Now, I don't care about that, assuming the story is true. I don't believe it's true, but assuming it's true, um, if you want to make a spectacle, I don't really care. I always suggest that people just dip out. You don't have to make a scene. You can like keep your peace and just dip out if you don't feel wanted or loved. But in my mind, I would just talk to my he's calling her stepdaughter. I would talk to my stepdaughter. Why can't you just have a conversation like, I feel like I'm being used for a wallet. I feel like I have no say so in what's going on in the wedding. I feel kind of left out. Why not have that conversation to see if that's something you can remedy? Because it might be that they don't think you care about it. It might be that they think you only want to be there financially, since you haven't mentioned anything about a personal connection at all. Like maybe it's a misunderstanding, or maybe they do want to use you for your wallet, but that's only something that you can know by asking or talking to them. So why not do that instead of like, I'm gonna let the anger build up and then I'm gonna get back. Talk about my name ain't on the wedding card. Cantor said, I need both sides to this story. 10 years girlfriends. That's what I was asking too. Just go to the courthouse. Um, this is a Reddit post. Yep. I'm confusion. Yep. Oh, this is an old scenario that went viral some time ago. Okay. Well, maybe it's just okay, it's a scenario. Um, Ooh, not these comments. His feelings are hurt and they are valid. If anything, she should ask for both to walk her down the aisle. He stepped up and that should be acknowledged. It all right. It didn't sound like he stepped up to me. It sounded like he's a piggy bank. I agree with him. I'd be mad too. Now look, I don't care what kind of relationship I have with somebody. If I'm paying for a wedding, my name is about to be right on the top of the invitations. It's gonna be right there. I'm gonna go ahead and just take these 20 invitations from the pile. No need to ask anybody since I paid for them. Y'all have 230 left. That's plenty. Them chicks being disrespectful. I don't believe them women are real. I don't believe this story is real. Hello, King Petty. Welcome to Els. Welcome everyone who hopped in, by the way. He sounds like he was in a sugar baby relationship. Well, I feel like a sucker's gonna get licked. So, yeah. I'm going to play my intro so that we have a quick break from the mess, and then we can come back with the main topic of the day. He said, "This is his wedding." Absolutely. Stepdaughter and mama getting their Lori Harvey on. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. We're here for, we support it. Okay. So I'm going to read a story. I'll put it on screen just in case you guys want to see, but it looks a little small. So I'm not sure if y'all will be able to see it, but I'll present it anyway. I will present it anyway. Y'all deserve to see. This is a headline that I saw a while ago that I wanted to look at because I thought it was interesting. Um, if y'all can't see what's on the screen, it says, it's a news article from the Daily Mail, and it says, "My boyfriend's cancer battle was ruining my mental health, so I left him. Now I'm running a marathon in his honor." Um, Okay. So we're starting off with some more mess. I lied. The intro was not a separation of the mess. It was just a interlude. We're back in the mess again. Welcome, CC. Hello, by the way. The invitation gonna say at the top, Petty presents this wedding affair. Absolutely. I'm going to walk down the aisle by myself first. I'm not even walking nobody down the aisle. I'm gonna walk down the aisle, go up and make my speech. Let everybody go ahead and give me thanks for the chairs that you're sitting on, for the floors that you're walking in here on that my money provided, for the beautiful wedding dress that my money provided. Yes, because we need to absolutely. Chico, welcome. You didn't miss the mess. Don't worry, we about to be right back in it. Right back in it. That's messed up. Okay, y'all are probably gonna disagree with me then, and I'll put the link for people to come up if they want to, but it's gonna be later because I don't feel like getting dragged until the middle. "My boyfriend's cancer battle was ruining my mental health, so I left him. Now I'm running a marathon in his honor." So this is what Danielle Epstein, 32, of London said. And she felt awful for leaving her boyfriend, Jell, who was 37. Let's read. Let's read a little bit about this. "A woman running the London Marathon for her ex-boyfriend has admitted she left him because she couldn't cope with his cancer battle. Danielle Epstein, 32, was buying a house with Joel Frenson in London last year when he was diagnosed with a rare form of a brain tumor at just 37 years old. He needed a complex operation, radiotherapy, and chemotherapy, and had to learn to walk again." Hmm. While all this was going on, Danielle began having panic attacks and her mental health plummeted, so she ended their relationship. Um, let's pause there for a second. I actually don't think it's bad for someone to leave a relationship when the circumstances change severely. Um, More on that later. Let's read a little bit more. She moved to Thailand but remained friends with him and is now running a marathon for a brain tumor charity. She said she's still figuring out her friendship, and added, "I felt like the most awful person, leaving somebody because they had cancer, but it was damaging my mental health and it wasn't helping gel." Hmm. This is her, I guess, and this is him. They were in the process of buying a house. Gel, who works as a Google software engineer, began vomiting and having dizzy spells, apparently, while they were buying the house. After numerous consultations with GPs and ineffective treatments for an ear infection, the vomiting became much worse. He went for a private MRI scan. Why are they using his health insurance with Google? Why it feels like they sliding in some Google ads here. I don't know why, but it's fine. Doctors found a grade 4, look at that word, medulloblastoma tumor, normally a cancer that affects children, and he was booked for surgery in September. Danielle said, We were on a certain path to a certain future, and within one day, we knew it wasn't going to work out like that anymore. I was so worried and devastated I couldn't sleep or eat. I was having panic attacks and was on so much medication to sort myself out, I just couldn't function. Realizing they had to split up, she moved to Thailand with her father, but she has stayed friends with she has stayed friends with Joe and kept up to date with his recovery. Following his operation, Joe had nerve damage. I shouldn't be laughing. This isn't funny. Following his operation, Joe had nerve damage that paralyzed the right side of his face, leading to a squint that causes double vision. He also can't fully close his eye and must use eye drops and ointments. Explaining her decision to run the London Marathon in his name for brain tumor research, she said, I felt so helpless watching all this unfold, so I knew I had to do something. Whew, that's tough. That's really tough. Well, let's get past those. Hope we didn't get demonetized for showing that. She says, I'm not a runner, but he has done marathons before, so I thought it would be a challenge for me and a nice tribute to him, and it felt like something to aim towards. I won't be fast, but I'm determined to get around. She speaks a little more just about how physically and mentally challenging it is to run a marathon, but she has motivation, saying that if he can go through all of this brain cancer stuff, then I can run a marathon. She added that money was needed to help brain cancer research. I do believe there is some financial benefit to running the marathon if she wins. I'm pretty sure, or the marathon might benefit brain cancer research, but I would have to pull that up to verify. Joe, who supports his ex-girlfriend's attempt to help, said, I will be there on the day to cheer Danielle on. I think it's incredible what she's doing. He had some doubts about her ability to run a marathon because he said she was complaining the last time they went out running, and that he has respect for her discipline and perseverance. She said she still loves him deeply and wants to support him, but she came to realize she couldn't stay with him as a partner. She's still figuring things out and finding ways to continue their relationship as friends. They said our whole lives came out from under us. And they said it looks like Carol Robertson from Brain Tumor Research says, we're sorry to hear about Jell's diagnosis. The tumor is rare, but brain cancer is not. And they're grateful that Danielle is taking on this huge challenge to help raise funds for our cause. And they will be cheering for her at the finish line. Before I comment on that, let's see what some of the comments are saying. Oh, y'all are in these comments chatting up a storm. Let's see what comments need to be on screen. That's a little messed up though. Hello, JCJ, welcome. That's a little messed up. Do y'all think that's messed up? It's good she left. She would have made him miserable. I think so as well. I've seen adult children abandon their parents at the hospital because they couldn't keep helping them. Well, y'all know how I feel about parents, so I'm not going to get into that discussion. I don't feel like being dragged today. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. She wasn't his wife. She was not. I didn't see a husband and wife in there anywhere. I didn't see a divorce. I didn't see anything. Curry up and eat. Welcome. Hello, Prince.petti with the phenomenal follicles. I don't know what that means. Thank you. Follicle energy. I'm giving it. That's good, I think. Not her husband. She good. She said she's running in his honor as if they're still together. No, she said I'm running in his honor, and I thought he had passed away. But no, he is alive and well. Us lowly women don't bring anything to the table, so he doesn't need her, right? That's what the manosphere has told me. She's replaceable anyway. Who needs her? I can't imagine how hard it was for her. Okay, let me stop going through the comments. So I don't see an issue with someone leaving a relationship when the circumstances change severely. Um, whether that's being cheated on, whether that's being lied to about the circumstances of your relationship, or some major event happening, such as brain cancer. I don't see an issue with that. I think we are a little bit, I think we are, oh, somebody's in these comments twerking. Welcome, Themis. I think we are a little bit judgmental and unrealistic about what it means to be with someone who cannot move their limbs or who is suffering from a terminal illness or who you will have to support physically, mentally, emotionally through. Actually, I don't think this is terminal. Now that no, he didn't pass away. Well, I think it's, is it possibly terminal? Let me make sure. Because he survived. He's still alive, albeit in a diminished capacity now, but he's still alive. So, but even when someone doesn't have a terminal illness, I think we underestimate what it means to be a caretaker for someone who cannot take care of themselves, whether that's someone who's terminally ill, a maybe an older patient or a parent or even a child, right? So I don't think it's wrong for someone to leave something that they didn't sign up for. I saw an interesting video regarding whether or not it's okay to leave a. Actually, before we get to that, y'all talk about through better or worse, and I agree, but I don't think people expect worse. I think people say that without understanding what that means. Paris Milan made a post. I wanted to go through some of the comments on here. And she was just asking for thoughts on this exact situation, actually. Um, let's see what some of the thoughts were. I'm a garbage person who abandoned my boyfriend in his time of need, and now I'm using my ex-boyfriend's pain to promote myself and fuel my personal success. I did actually think that was interesting because while I don't see an interest, I don't see a problem with you leaving the it's okay to leave, but yeah, I don't see a problem with you leaving, but going to the news and being like, I'm not about to pretend like you are like the second coming of Christ because you decided to leave your terminally ill boyfriend and then run a 5 kilometer run in his honor. I think you should probably keep that to yourself. You should probably keep that to yourself. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. I don't think that was something that should have made it out the drafts. And whoever's running that news organization that took that interview, I don't think they was not looking in her best interest at all. They're not your friends. They are not your friends. Um, in this article, Danielle says she felt like the most awful person. That is because she is, in fact, an awful person. Yeah, this is why I say you should have kept it in the drafts. Should have kept it in the drafts. She was under no obligation to stay with him. She did the right thing for her, and that is fine. Um, I agree. The reply was she's allowed to leave him, sure, but she can't then run a race in his honor. The proper way to honor him would have been to not leave him when he was dying. I disagree with that, especially since he was saying he supports what she's doing, understands why she's doing it, supposedly has no qualms with her, and is supporting her running the race. Again, I don't have an issue with you running the race in his honor. I think that's fine, especially if the race is raising awareness and money for organizations that help with disease like this. It's just going to the news. It's like the way the news presented it. Not this story that we looked at, because that said, what was the title of that? Let me check again. My boyfriend's cancer battle was ruining my mental health, so I left him. Who? Now I'm running a marathon in his honor. Yeah, that news title that dragged her. But within the news story, her presentation of what's going on is one that's noble. Um, it's like, as awful as I feel, I knew what I had to do for my mental health. It's like unapologetic, and I feel like this is probably where you want to be the most apologetic person that you can be. Um, this is where, in my mind, you're going to plea for sympathy or something like that, instead of being like, I feel so powerful running this race and I'm so glad that yeah, it shouldn't have left the draft. Now, as far as the proper way to honor him being not leaving him when he's dying, she said it was affecting her mental health. I don't know how you guys feel, but if I'm in a relationship with someone and they're affecting my mental health, and it's something that we can't get through in counseling or therapy, I think leaving is completely appropriate, because you're not going to be, it's probably better for her to leave than to be building resentment for him while in a relationship caring for him. I promise you, it's probably better for her to leave. Let's say, oh, Paris Milan dropped in here. Researchers state that men are more likely than women to leave partner with cancer. Well, that was very petty on her part, but the data does support her. The data does support her. So I just wanted to go through a couple of those comments before I looked at I didn't realize Abba and Preacher did a video on this. So I've pulled this up, hopefully to avoid being dragged. Y'all can drag him, not me, because she was a girlfriend, not a wife. This chick is funny. She said peace. She said peace out. Bye. Immediate. She said, it's like I knew that we couldn't work out anymore, so I went to Thailand, and then broke up. Ooh, that's tough. That's actually tough. That girl West, welcome. Large part of me understands, but when I think of all the men that leave their wives when they're sick, here's what I think. Actually, let's go into the data before we watch Abba and Preach. What I think was interesting was the public reaction to this, specifically the public reaction from men and men's rights groups. Because where this story was, I saw it being shared in mostly male spaces, mostly on YouTubers' channels where they have large audiences of men. And what I mostly saw was men giving their thoughts on what was happening. And the public reaction, I thought, was very interesting. Mostly making fun of her for suggesting that her mental health was declining, for her suggesting that her mental health was doing bad due to having to be a caretaker for someone. They were mostly clowning her, as well as, let's see, people doing the usual things. Oh, if we reverse the genders, they would think the man is a monster, which I mean, I don't think so, but I guess that's just somewhere we disagree. Let me see if I can pull up one of these threads, because I saw something on Reddit that I thought was interesting. Oof, never mind. I don't think we can put these on screen. It's fine. We can skip that part. But again, my issue is demonizing someone who leaves a situation like this. But you also have to understand my perspective on this, right? This isn't like some people who have been married for decades and then the woman just dips and leaves. This is like, in my mind, this is a non-committed relationship. Notice throughout everything we've been reading, there has been no mention of a husband or a wife, because there is none here. These are boyfriend and girlfriend. So for me, it feels like the relationship already not committed in the first place. I don't know why they was buying a house. But again, there was the using this one instance as a means to demonize all women, I think, is something somewhat of a common theme that I've been seeing. And that's unusual to me, because the data doesn't support that this is what all women are doing. In fact, the data supports that men are doing this much more likely. I'll read from The Guardian really quickly before we get into Abba and Preach. The title of this article: The Men Who Leave Their Spouses When They Have Life-Threatening Illnesses. When relationships are hit by serious illnesses such as cancer, it can bring existing gender inequalities to the surface. Let's see. There was a specific part in here that I read. So they go into one anecdote, right, about someone named Christy Sanchez and how she has a really cool stepdad, and how her mom was battling with cancer. And within days of getting the diagnosis, she had her breast, lymph nodes, and both ovaries removed. And her stepdad was pretty cool at first. He was attending appointments with her, cooking meals, looking after the children. But within a week, she was back to her mother battling breast cancer, was back to work pretty much, because she was the breadwinner in the family. So Within 2 weeks, she was already cooking, cleaning, and doing stuff again. By the 6 month mark, she says her stepdad's attitude completely changed. It's like once the chemotherapy started and he saw the decline in her health, he was like, OS, and tapped out. Um, and she shared this and it went viral on Twitter. So I'll read from here. If you are hoping that these are some rare horror stories, um, there is some comfort to be had. Most people, regardless of gender, do not leave their partners when they get sick. In a 2015 paper, researchers tracked 2,701 marriages using a study on health and retirement and watched what happened when someone became unwell during a marriage. Only 6% of cases ended in divorce. So it's pretty rare that a partner will leave you if you suddenly become sick, right? However, the same study shows that when partners leave, it's normally men. They cite a study from 2009, which found that the strongest predictor for separation or divorce for patients with brain cancer was whether or not the sick person was a woman. That same study showed that men were 7 times more likely to leave their partner than the other way around if one of them got brain cancer. Um, so my first question here was, why does this happen? And my hypothesis was that women are, remember what I said earlier in the live stream about, I think it's okay if you are expecting something from your relationship or something from your marriage as far as your obligations and duties, and that something suddenly changes. I think it's completely okay for you to say, I no longer want to be in this marriage. I didn't sign up for this. I think women are already, well, should we read the study or should I give my opinion first? I'll give my opinion. I think women are already expected, kind of, and conditioned in some ways to be caretakers, whether that's for your parents when they get old, whether that's for children, whether it's for your husband when he becomes ill, in this case. So, in my mind, women are already expecting, if something like this happens, to be a caretaker, whereas men probably don't have that same expectation or type of conditioning when they grow up, so they're less likely to do it. Hello, Tweety Bird 88, welcome. Y'all have permission by me to twerk in the chat tonight. We can twerk tonight because it's ghetto. Let's see. A different woman would have waited till they bought the house. Whew. It couldn't be me. It couldn't be me. Married men frequently leave their partners when they get terminal illnesses. And maybe I'm proving it today because I feel like it's completely appropriate for a man or a woman to leave their partner if they become terminally ill to the point where you have to take on an extreme amount of labor that you weren't expecting to have to do in your marriage. Yeah, I think that's okay. So the paper continues. Gendered expectations about household work should have changed in the last few decades, as women would have almost equal representation in the workplace. And in 41% of U.S. homes, women are the breadwinners. More men than ever are stay-at-home fathers, and yet when a woman falls ill, it can really reveal to the extent which men not only feel entitled to a certain level of housework, but have no concept of how to be an efficient and appropriate caregiver. So I hope I'm pronouncing this name right. Meek Famir, a sociologist from the University of Atlanta who studies how gender affects couples when a partner gets sick, says in most couples, people understand they will need to support their partner if they get sick. However, she says that men and women interpret what caregiving looks like very differently. Men tend to view their partner getting sick in an almost mechanical way, she says. They see it as a problem to be solved. They can separate out the obvious and immediate physical tasks that result from the illness, but other caregiving requirements are left unconsidered, such as emotional care or housework. Now, I found that part interesting because in my mind, the men were just like, I don't want to take care of you. But in reality, it seems like, well, that too, but in reality, it also seems like they are not well equipped to do caregiving. They're not well equipped, even if they tried. So again, I think that has to do with that conditioning. This means a lot of the time women continue to do that work, and when they don't, problems can arise. In 2018, researchers in Germany used a nationally representative sample to show that as long as they are still able to, women will continue to do an uneven amount of housework while they are sick, if that was the dynamic in the relationship before they became unwell. Now, particularly with more mild conditions, the expectation is that the status quo will go on unless it gets so extreme that the wife really can't do that work. So, pretty much, unless a woman is bedridden and unable to leave the bed, even while she is ill, she will still pretty much be expected to do an uneven amount of housework. So, the flip side of this is that relationships tend to function well when the woman gets sick and requires intensive care from her partner. But in cases where caregiving is not necessitated, men tend to downplay a woman's symptoms and class her as largely self sufficient, expecting her to ask for help rather than proactively giving it. Um, they give the example of Dana Hurd, who returned after a preventive double mastectomy, and her partner seemed to think that's wild. When I was thinking of mild, I was thinking of something like having a cold or the flu. Well, the flu can be like really, really bad too. But I was thinking about the cold or the flu. I wasn't thinking about a double mastectomy. That is wild. But she returned after a double mastectomy, and her partner seemed to think that she should do anything she was able to without considering whether it was a good idea or whether it would be better to just help her. Ooh. In the months following the surgery, she had tissue expanders in her chest that were rock hard. They felt like Coke cans. Every time I had to put on a sweater or zip up a coat, it was excruciating pain, but she was still able to walk. So, in the middle of an icy winter, her partner began to expect that she would walk their 45-pound dog every day, just 5 weeks after her surgery. Never mind, I could have died if the dog pulled me over onto my front, says Hurd. In many cases, women willingly do such work. Studies on women with breast cancer show they tend to feel guilt for burdening their caregivers and overcompensate. They set boundaries around what help they're willing to accept and continue to do what housework they can while also giving emotional support to their caregiver. Um, so not only are the men, it seems like, expecting kind of an unfair um, amount of labor from women when they're going through illnesses, which they listed breast cancer. I really thought they were going to say something like the common cold. I did not think they were going to say breast cancer and surgeries for double mastectomies. That's not what I thought they were going to say, but apparently this seems to be what men consider like mild illnesses. So cool. Um, but not only do men expect women to do that work, but the women are also like, it seems like, reluctant to ask for help. So again, maybe that sense of conditioning, right? It says the women are feeling guilty for burdening their caregivers, which is going to be their husband in this case. Maybe it feels like they're stepping out of the role that they're supposed to be in the relationship. But before we read some more, let me go through some of the comments. Let me see what y'all are doing in here. Welcome, LB. I'm not going to lie. I shamed a guy who was trying to date me because I found out he left his wife who became very ill. I don't feel bad, but if it were a woman, I would have been like, yeah. I mean, maybe we can discuss once I open the panel gender expectations, because part of the reason I believe I don't have that now, obviously, if I'm with someone long term and we've been married for like 20 years, I feel like it would actually be really disgusting for me to leave that relationship. So I hope we're making a distinction here as far as their relationship being relatively new. It looks like in that post where she was saying she left her boyfriend with cancer. I hope people would make that distinction, but maybe that's part of the social conditioning, right? I do not feel that I do not feel that need to take on an extreme amount of labor. I hope you guys don't feel that need to take care of a partner if they like become paraplegic or something. Maybe that's like rude for me to say, but the panel's going to be open later for y'all to drag, so it's fine. I don't know. No one expects to be sick though. Yeah, but in my mind, if I become like ill to the point where I need a caregiver, I understand my wife not wanting to take on that role. Maybe we're wealthy enough to hire a nurse or something so she doesn't have to, but I don't know. I would have shamed your ex Dusty into next Tuesday. I can't help it. Hi, hope you're well. I know you're from Cadology. Welcome. Me and Cadology have beef publicly, so welcome. I'm hollering. Side eye. Oop. I believe those men checked out after the diagnosis, not after going through the treatment process. That's an interesting perspective. I'll start that and come back to it. Good evening, Jamil. Welcome, evening people. I don't know what time it is where everybody is, but welcome to the evening people. Her husband wanted her to pull her weight in the 45-pound dog. Welcome, Alicia. Hello. I've been hearing your song on Themis' channel. Like it. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Yes. Welcome. Okay, I think that's all the comments. Love is a choice. I didn't say anything about I don't love you anymore. I said this is a burden that I did not sign up for. And I would extend that courtesy to my partner as well. If I don't even know your middle name, look for care elsewhere. Valerie, welcome. I would not want my partner to put me in a facility, but if I'm too much work and it causes them to be a nurse, no. Yeah, I think the level at which you're taking care of someone, I think matters too. What it's doing to your mental health, I think matters. If it's having a detriment on your mental health, whether or not it's something you can do without resentment, I think matters. So, I mean, I think it's more multifaceted than just leave your partner if they get sick. So hopefully y'all are hearing nuance in my words. Let's see. The problem with this division of labor is that it is impractical in the long term. The reality is the condition will continue to deteriorate. So the attitude, she says, towards women who are reluctant to or feel guilty about burdening the man in the relationship when they get sick, the attitude just isn't going to cut it. Instead, men need to take it upon themselves to learn how to do such chores when their partner gets sick, and women need to learn to give up some of that control. I don't disagree. Otherwise, as the sick partner is less able to provide what she used to, that is when her husband may begin to get cold feet. Ooh. Oh no. Well, let's read this part. It seems petty. Herd's partner, this is the woman who he wanted her to walk the dog even though it could kill her if she falls down the wrong way. Herd's partner's gripe, and this is after her double mastectomy, by the way. Herd's partner's gripe came when she stopped wanting to have sex. He started to have tantrums that she wasn't showing him enough affection after her mastectomy. He began to accuse her of cheating on him, berated her for neglecting his needs, and even cut her off of his health insurance at one point, arguing that she was, quote, treating him like a housemate, unquote. Heard started taking painkillers and having sex with him, which she says made her feel like a blow-up doll, but she didn't feel she had another choice. Ooh. Yep. I mean, well, I think that speaks for itself. She wasn't having enough sex, he says, after her double mastectomy. And she wasn't doing enough labor around the house after her double mastectomy, he said. So he took her off of his health insurance, berated her, and for neglecting his needs, and argued that she was treating him like a housemate because she wasn't having sex with him. So she took painkillers and had sex with him just to do it because she felt like she had no other choice. I mean, that, I don't know, that sounds like coercion to me. If you're cutting off someone who needs, like, this is the point where your wife probably needs health insurance the most. Well, it says partner. It don't even say husband, do it? Well, it says partner. This is probably the point where your partner needs you the most. This feels wild to me. This actually feels wild. Now, maybe I'm being biased because we just went through the last story where I was like, oh, well, if your partner is a burden, you need to leave. And if they don't meet your expectation, you need to leave. But the difference here, I think, is in what the expectation is. The woman, notice the difference between what the women seem to be saying and what the men seem to be saying in a situation like this. The woman in the first post was like, this is a negative effect on my mental health. Might harbor resentment towards this man, and it's not going to be healthy for me to take care of him. It might be worse. And I'm still going to be there for him as a friend, but my expectations and what I want in a relationship is not this. So even though we can maintain a relationship as friends, this isn't what I want. Um, she then went on to run a marathon for research for his brain cancer. In this situation, the man says she stopped having sex. He had expectations of her to walk the dog, and do other laborious activities such as house care and other stuff that she probably shouldn't be doing. And ultimately, he cuts off her health insurance. The difference in how it feels like the men are treating the women when they get like a terminal illness or go through an extensive surgery like this or anything related to this versus how the women seem to be doing the men is where the disconnect is for me, because I wholeheartedly agree with what the woman did, aside from going to the news and pretending to be the victim. Um, but I completely disagree with anything that this man is talking about ever. If he had said something like, this is detrimental to my mental health, I feel like I'm starting to harbor resentment because I'm now having to be a caretaker and a nurse, which is not what I signed up for. I feel like something like that would be a lot different than my wife doesn't have sex with me anymore after she got an invasive surgery. So I feel like I'm being redundant at this point. So I'm going to drop the link quickly before we do the Abba and Preach video, since we're at the hour mark and I didn't know if anyone had anything they wanted to say. But if you do, you can hit the link, whether that's to come up and drag me, to come up and drag this man. He does deserve to be dragged, um, or whatever have you. And while you guys do that, let me find the Abba and Preach video to pull up. I haven't watched the video, so I don't know their thoughts. I was just interested in hearing it because apparently Abba's out here in these streets on IDGAB. So that's yeah, that just feels disgusting to me. The whole dynamic of everything regarding what we just read, when it comes to, anyway, from that same study, excuse me, from that same article from The Guardian, it became increasingly clear the gendered expectations men and women are willing to accept when it comes to caregiving. My mother would never even call my brother to, let me see, actually, no, we skipped a critical part. This is one more anecdote we can go through, and then we can go to the Abba and Preach video if no one else wants to come up. Yep, that's trash. He needs to get out. Yep, yep, yep. Agree with all. Um, Welcome, LB and Chloe. I'm going to read this next section and then I'll let you guys comment on anything we've talked about. Um, Please be a little patient with me. So now we're looking from the perspective of Meredith Zappa. Um, and she says this comes 5 weeks after her mother was hospitalized for a serious heart condition. Her long-term boyfriend, Andy, dumped her while she was hooked up to tubes in the intensive care unit. These are fake names, by the way. He said he was too young to be dealing with someone who was so sick. He was 50. I'm sorry. Wait. I have no idea why they wrote that like that. Her long-term boyfriend dumped her while she was hooked up to tubes in the ICU. He said he was too young to be dealing with someone who was so sick. He was 50. When he dumped Meredith's mom by text, she had to deliver the news. And she remembers reading the text with surprise because Andy had been sick just a few weeks earlier with kidney stones, and Meredith watched as her mother doted on him, constantly at his bedside, bringing him food and checking in with his doctors. When Meredith's mother got sick, however, Andy asked Meredith to deal with the doctors, despite the fact that he was listed as the primary caregiver. I'm not laughing at the situation, by the way. It's just the idea that this man said, I'm too young to be dealing with this in his 50s. Um, cool. Despite the fact that he was listed as the primary caregiver, she said it didn't occur to him that that was actually his role. He made it seem like it just wasn't his place to do that. It became increasingly clear to Meredith. What became increasingly clear to Meredith was the gendered expectations men and women are willing to accept when it comes to caregiving. My mother would never even call my brother to ask him to do anything. She didn't want to bother him, would say that he's not good at this stuff, and yet we're both adults. These family myths that women are better at certain roles, for example, that men are incapable of the task required to do them well. He can't see the dirt, right? He doesn't know how to do the dishes or something like that, are often used to justify the unequal division of labor within a relationship. And so the unequal distribution of work continues. But as Thamir points out, there's a glaring problem. People say we do what works for our family, it just happens to be unequal, and yet it just so happens to be unequal in very similar ways across all families. For Meredith's mother, caregiving was women's work. That much she said explicitly. Andy's mother similarly indulged him, agreeing that he was too young to take on a caregiving role. So the 50-year-old man, his mother says she agrees that he's too young to be caregiving for someone at 50. Cool. Our research consistently shows us that this work is much less appreciated when women do it. It is seen as what women do, what they have always done, even if it's a little more heightened, like when someone is sick. Men, on the other hand, are appreciated more for caregiving and are more easily let off the hook when they decide it's too much. Their family members notice the work they're doing and start chipping in. And I will pause there. We can continue, but I did want you guys to give your opinions if you had them quickly before I go. We can start with I think LB came up first. LB, what say you about any and all of this? Okay, Chloe, what say you about any and all of this?
See, I just started eating, and then you called me. I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
How
So,
do you you're eating?
there you go. Okay.
Mhm.
So, one thing about, the marathon girl, it's very interesting because we would never, I'm like, they have got to be in another country. Because no one, I don't think, in the United States would ever admit to what she did. But, she left old boy. She said, I'm going to run in his honor, even though he's still alive. But I think that what she did, I'm actually for it. I'm for it 100%. She was looking out for herself first. And we have a problem with doing that in our culture. It's like, we're always expected to just stick it out and take care, even when it's like noticeably killing us. We're still expected to just keep pushing on. So I applaud her for I, even though I'm laughing and I'm saying that she looks shady, but I know that that's because of just how I've been raised here in this culture. You're supposed to stick around whether you hate it or not.
So the interesting thing after reading all of this, I heard a little bit of feedback on it, but the interesting thing after reading all of this, I think what I'm taking away from this so far, and what I'm probably still going to take away after looking at Evan Preach and all the other reactions online, is that women are probably doing a little too much as far as what they're giving in the house regarding house care, and especially with caregiving when it comes to a partner becoming ill and terminally ill. And men are probably giving too little. Well, not probably. It's the data apparently supports this. They're giving like very little. So, in my mind, there needs to be a shift from women. Maybe I should write a book called "Why Men Deserve Less" because apparently books like that are becoming popular. But this is a situation, this is a specific interaction that I think happens between a lot of men and women, according to the data, where I believe it would legitimately be good for women to give less and expect more, and for men to expect less and to give more. Um, I think that would do these relationships a lot better. And I think the type of expectations, again, I think men should expect less or maybe expect differently, because that story was just off putting to me, as it should be when your wife comes back from a surgery and you're like, okay, but you have laborious chores to do around the house, and you need to walk the dog, and we need to have sex, and if you don't want to, I'm cutting off your insurance. Like, that feels borderline abusive or coercive to me. um Not chat GPT help me write that book, but yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying. LB, you can also chime in if you're back.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
Yes, you better give us hair today.
I figured I would. I was like, should I wrap my hair? And then I was like, it's Petty's channel, so I'm gonna be like Petty.
Yeah, so we better be out
Yes.
and about today.
So, honestly, I walked away for a second, so if I repeat anything, just cut me off. But
Mhm.
I think that the girl, the runner thing, she was disgusting because the way she handled it. I don't think that you're obligated to take care of somebody just because you're in a relationship with them. If something extreme like that happens, although it would be nice, ideally, to be with somebody who cares about you enough to at least check in on you and like the relationship part is one thing, but like to completely just like withdraw from their life, I think that's really messed up. But I don't believe you should make it an obligation to care for somebody in that type of situation, because it's too much for some people, and it doesn't make sense to destroy like two lives. And then, as far as the men taking care of women, it's not shocking at all. Like I think that's typically how it used to be and how it is for some people still.
Um,
But I think that one thing is like women have to stop over investing in people who would not invest the same into them.
yes, and a surprising twist that anyone could have guessed. The men did what men do. So, I mean, y'all aren't saying anything I didn't expect. I think, like you said, this is behavior
Oh,
that is expected of men and is already normalized and pretty much known. So, and Thomir
yeah.
said that in the article as well. So,
One other thing though is you said something about like, oh, and they're not even married. I think there's a difference between dating and being married to somebody. Because like I would hope that the person that I marry would not like just dip on me because I got a deadly illness. If it's somebody like I don't know, growing up I always heard like if I ain't married, I'm single. And although like you could respect a non marriage as like a long-term commitment, I think in general if it's not a long-term commitment before the person gets sick, I don't think you should stay with them. Like if I've been dating you for a couple weeks or like we've been dating for a few months and we don't have any plans for the future, I'm not dropping my future to take care of you for the rest of my life. I'm not even like it's not my obligation to set you up at this point because there's been no like solid commitment.
even if y'all are in a 7-year relationship and about to buy a house,
Do we have plans for the future, or are we just going by ear and he happened to buy a house?
she didn't say. She just said, "This was not what I signed up for."
Mm. I think it depends. It depends on if there is a commitment expressed and if you guys have plans together for the future. Because if not, that's personal issue.
Do you think? I don't think most people talk about this. I mean, I think there's a meme about girls asking their man, "What would you do if I turned into a worm or something?" But as far as serious conversations in long-term relationships about what will you or I do if I become like a paraplegic, or the other way around, if you become a paraplegic, I don't think people have serious conversations like that.
Mm.
So even when you're in a committed relationship, what do you think? Do you think this is something that a person is implicitly signing up for by committing to something long term, even if it's not something that they have specifically talked about?
If you go through the whole like vows and sickness and health thing, yeah.
So marriage specifically, marriage
Yeah,
vows.
marriage specifically. But if it's a non-traditional relationship in the sense that like you don't end up married and but you're in a long-term commitment, I think that if we haven't discussed it, then it's fair to say we haven't discussed this and this isn't what I want. But that's why it's important to discuss the terms of your relationships with people before you get too deep. Um,
And how, what say you about her? She left the relationship as far as the romantic side, but she says she's still there as a friend, still helps out, and of course is running the marathon in his honor. What do you think about that? She's still,
about
it's not like she just left him out to dry. She's still there. She just says, this isn't what I want for a relationship specifically.
the marathon was BS. It was definitely just a coping mechanism for her guilt. And attention seeking is probably part of her personality. But aside from that, the other part about being the friend, is she genuinely a friend to this person still, or is she just doing things because she feels guilty?
She said we broke up and she immediately moved to Thailand. So when she says I'm still there for him and still helping out, I don't know what that means aside from maybe emotional support, mental support, which is important, but I don't know. I'm getting
I
mixed.
feel like she's gonna hang around in a guilt bubble for a little bit, or as long as people are watching, and then dip off into her life and forget about him.
Um, Chloe, did you have anything else as well?
Yeah, how much time I got? I feel like I'm being rushed.
I'm gonna give you 2 minutes and let me talk for a while.
Okay. Um, y'all hear me?
Yep.
I apologize because the call was coming through. I had to decline it. Anyway, so unfortunately, the topic of caregiving is just it's just big for me. I have been caregiving for a large part of my life, and that's why this topic really hits home. And I think that's why I am becoming more disagreeable in my older age. But anyway, now the 50-year-old, the one who said, like, I'm too young for this. And then his mama co-signed on it because I thought when you said, okay, I'm too young for this, I'm like, oh, okay, he 19, 21, 50. And and then for his mom to be like such a mammy and enabling him, like, yeah, you are too young. You're only 50. And it's like this enabling is very, very oh my god, it really triggers me. And I think that that's why we're in the situation we are now with our black men. So just the mama, like, climbing Mammy Mountain, talking about her baby too old when he's 50, that is just so irritating. And as far as that couple, where the dude was trash and telling her to walk the dog or whatever, right? um I'm really, something about that is, I'm really triggered at the both of them, because I'm feeling like, lady, why are you still with this dude? And then it's like he didn't just become a dick after you got sick. He's obviously been a dick. You should have been gone. And now you're there. So I just don't like either one of them. So
We're not gonna get a defense from me. We are on board. Welcome, Lantoinette. I'm going to finish the last part just because I agree with both of you. So I'm not, I don't have nothing to add. I think you guys summed it up well. I'm going to read the last little portion of this article that I wanted to get through, and then we are good to go on Abbott and Preach. Y'all can stay or leave if y'all have stuff to do. So, Thomir says that to say men benefit hugely from female caregiving is borne by research. Men tend to suffer a lot more from widowhood, partly because they gain more support from marriage than women do. When his partner dies, he is more likely to actively seek out another relationship, whereas women are more likely to avoid marriage. Why? Because they know it will entail more caregiving. This is what Thomir says. Women are so socialized into believing that they must be caregivers that it often doesn't even occur to them that they can take time off, let alone that they might have another option. In one study with heterosexual, gay, and lesbian couples, one woman gives care to her wife around the clock, taking time off to cry while on the subway. By contrast, one of the husbands participating in the study continues to ask his wife to attempt each and every task she can while she is going blind. Um, can we continue to blame these men if they know no better? Yes. Isn't it hard for them too? Um, sure, it's hard, but just like how having a baby is hard, says Meredith, adding, people think women have some superior ability to do this stuff, but we don't, we just do it. Referring back to the text that Andy sent, she tears up. She gave up. She gave so much and he left so easily, she says. Um, Meredith's mother finally came out the hospital last month, but they still haven't heard from him. If he was reading this, what would Meredith say to him? She says, I just want men to provide the same amount of love and care to others that they provide to themselves. Um, that is how the article ends. So I don't hear any lies. Yeah, I agree, Lance, in that. Welcome, by the way, if I didn't welcome you already. But yeah, I do agree with her insofar as men benefiting from the female caregiving that is comes with a marriage, men suffering a lot more from widowhood. It's statistically true what she says regarding men being more likely to seek out another relationship, whereas women are more likely to avoid marriage. Because what they walk away from a marriage with. I know people say marriage doesn't benefit men, and it only benefits women, and only women want to be married. And I guess people kind of dangle it like this carrot above a woman's head. But the research doesn't indicate that. The research indicates that maybe, I guess, maybe men are socialized to believe that marriage is the most terrible thing ever, and women are socialized to believe that it's great and that you should be getting married early. But at least when both people walk away from the marriage, the women know what comes with a marriage, and so they're going to avoid it because they know that it comes with a lot of work, whereas the men are going to seek it out because they know it comes with a lot of work for the woman, not for them. So I also agree with her insofar as she's saying that women are socialized into believing that they have to be caregivers, to the point where they're not even thinking about taking time off. Like the idea of you getting a double mastectomy but being scared to speak up about asking your husband to help take out the trash or walk the dog. That is wild. That is wild to me, but understandable with the type of social conditioning that women get, right? And of course, she ends by, before the end of the story, she says that, can we blame the men if they don't know better? Now, my thing is, I do think historically you could say something like the men are ignorant. But I feel like, at least in 2023, I think women are more vocal generally. I think the research is out there and available. I think women are out on YouTube, TikTok. Maybe my algorithm is just different from most men's, but like the only thing I see women talking about is like unequal labor in the relationship, unequal caregiving in the relationship, unequal division of chores in the relationship. So it feels like women are increasingly becoming more and more vocal about um, having these type of expectations for the man to contribute equally to, whether it's labor or emotional labor or whatever, physical or emotional labor in the relationship, whatever have you. I think women are becoming more vocal about wanting that. So I don't feel like it's ignorance at this point. Like you have to be, didn't we talk about the rise of lonely single men? And almost unanimously, women are choosing to forego relationship because the men are not emotionally capable and they don't meet the standard. And it feels like this has been a common theme for decades now. So maybe you can claim ignorance like right after equal rights, but excuse me, women's rights. I think equal rights refers to Black people. But right after women's rights, maybe you can claim ignorance, and this is all very new, and we just don't know how the dynamic should work now. But now we're in 2023, and women are extremely vocal about their expectations in a relationship. So I can't see myself saying the men just don't know any better. I can understand men being conditioned not to do this, but at the point where you're like an adult and now you're starting to get into adult relationships and get married, you're grown now. You're gonna have to do something. You can't just live in the it was how I was raised all your life. You're gonna have to do something, right? So, and vice versa for the women. I do think the women are also should be breaking out of the type of social conditioning that you get to be a caretaker and rejecting it. Or if you're not rejecting it, it's expecting that from your partner. LB, any thoughts before Abba and Preach?
Yeah, I thought it was really beautiful how she like pointed out like women are not innately just strong and able to take all this pain and whatever, and that it's just like a consequence of being a woman in this society, and we just have to deal with it and evolve or whatever. I think that that's beautiful, but then also I'm mad at her for contributing to the issue that she brought up. So she brought attention to the issue of like men kind of having like blissful ignorance about what it means to be a caretaker and to be a partner in a relationship. And then at the end, she gives them like a cop out and says, oh, well, maybe they just don't know. And like you said, we're in 2023 and Google is a thing, YouTube is a thing. So I thought it was kind of disappointing that the article ended with that, like with
I mean, to be fair to her, she says she asked it as a question. Can we continue to blame the men if they don't know better? And she answers the question by, and isn't it hard for men too? And she's like, sure, it's hard, but pretty much she's like, get over it. Having a baby is hard, and women do it.
oh, okay, I missed
It's
the
hard for
hard.
women too, and women do it. So pretty much, she's like, it's hard for us, and we can do it. So even if it's hard for you, you can do it. And yes, we can. My takeaway was that she can blame the men, even if it's hard for them, because
Okay, I missed the final line because I thought that was the final line. I thought it was like just
I
oh well,
mean, she
maybe men
didn't say
don't
what
know.
I just said verbatim. It was more of an implication in my mind. So maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but that's what I got from it. Um,
Um,
uh,
what
yeah.
do you mind going back to the final line?
Let
You
me
don't have to.
pull it up. Actually, let me read it. Can we continue to blame these men if they know no better? Isn't it hard for them too? Sure, it's hard, but just like how having a baby is hard, says Meredith, adding, people think women have some superior ability to do this stuff, but we don't. We just do it. Um, so it's to me what I got was it is hard, but it's hard for women too, and they do it. So
Okay, yeah, no, I flipped it in my mind. I thought the other statement came before.
no, I would not be. I would not be. I wouldn't even read
I
that.
was like, ew, like why would she do that? But never
um,
mind.
but yeah, so we're on one accord. Abbott and Preach. Let's see what the title of the video is. Man of my dreams. Woman left her fiance once he got okay. So they were, I guess, engaged. Yep, fiance. Once he got brain cancer, but was she wrong? Let's see what Abbott and Preach have to say.
I loved my fiance, but after this, things changed forever. 2 years earlier, our life together had seemed so promising. I knew he was the one as soon as I met him. I had broken up with my ex-boyfriend a few months previously, and I was ready to meet someone new. So I signed up on the dating app, Bumble, and that was how I found Jel. Jelly's a Dutch software engineer working for Google in London. He was kind, quirky, and funny. I was a school physics teacher, so we were both quite nerdy science types, and I loved how active he was, always going around running or climbing in his spare time. We were both so sure the relationship was right, and we told each other during our second date, this is it.
This is you, dog. This is it, dog.
We had got together during the pandemic in summer 2020, me age 30, him 34, and when the second lockdown was announced, I asked him to move in. Although it's still early in a relationship, it didn't feel too soon. Living together in High Barrack, North London, we grew even closer, quicker than we might have done otherwise. Both of us were working from home, isolated from others, and spending quality time together. I always think that a great way of telling if you have a good relationship is if you feel like you're a better person when you're with your partner. I felt that with Jelly. He challenged me to be kinder, more aware of what is going on in this world, more curious. I was so happy and felt so lucky to have met this amazing man.
So off the bat, they're reading from, I'm not sure where they're reading from, obviously not the article I read from, but there is a lot more. It seems like there's a lot more emotion on her part in this. It's like we had the best relationship, everything was so perfect, and like it feels like she's giving a lot more than the news article where she was like, hey, I just wanted to talk to the news and let you guys know. Left my man running a marathon in his honor. So
Don't worry, I'm not just reading fan fiction. This is good. It gets good. We didn't know at this point the cruel twist that lay in wait for us. That throughout our relationship, something was happening to Jelly. It wasn't until the day after Jelly's 37th birthday that symptoms started to appear. He woke up feeling dizzy and nauseous. At first, we just assumed it was a hangover from our celebration, but the symptoms never went away. Instead, they grew worse. Within about a month, he was vomiting all the time, and he would plan a few trips abroad, but we had to cancel it because Jelly just wasn't feeling too welly. Initially, doctors told him it was vertigo and told him he would get better, but he just had to wait. But he continued to feel sick, so he couldn't work. We planned to get engaged, and I knew Jelly was going to propose in the summer when we were on holiday, but we had to cancel the holiday, so I thought, I'm going to go propose to him instead. This isn't going to get in the way of our future. Just a few weeks after engagement, we received the really devastating news that more detailed the scans had shown Jelly had a brain tumor, and it wasn't benign. It was a rare type of cancer of the central nervous system called medulloblastoma, more often seen in children than adults. Jelly.
Shout out to Abba for having difficulty pronouncing that word. It's a difficult word, and now I feel validated.
Was told that the chance of him getting it had been 1 in 4 million. His chances of surviving 5 years was 65%. Both of us broke down in tears. But while I went to pieces and remained a mess for a long time afterwards, Jelly was remarkably strong and calm. He never once said, "Why I'm here, it's not fair." His attitude was, "These are the cards I've been dealt, and I just have to get on with it."
Anyways, carry on.
But I knew that I could not stay with him. Watching helplessly as he got sicker and sicker over the preceding 3 months had been.
I don't know why I'm over here making these facial expressions like this is my first time hearing this story. Yeah.
Bad enough, but the uncertainty of the diagnosis brought was too much for me. Spent many sleepless nights researching, trying to find a miracle cure or a story with a good outcome, but all I could find was uncertainty and bleak statistics. Not only was there a significant chance of the cancer returning in the future, but there was a possibility of long-term and sometimes delayed side effects from the radiotherapy and chemotherapy treatment on his brain. I felt like the man I loved was slipping away from me, and I'd been so close to having everything I wanted. All of a sudden, it had been snatched away. I couldn't eat or sleep. I was suffering from panic attacks. I told my mother and his, I can't do this. I can't stay with him. They warned me not to tell them the decision until at least after the surgery. So I went to see my mother's, and in late September, Jelly went to the hospital for 17 hours to remove the tumor. The operation was successful, but he'd been left with quite severe brain damage and had to get used to living with disabilities. He had double vision, paralysis on his right side. He also had motor skill issues and had to learn how to write and walk again. Despite all this, he had coped amazingly well. Me, less so. We had a brief conversation about our future before surgery and admitted I was struggling, but there's a chance it can be cured, he protested. I ended our relationship 2 weeks later. He was still recovering in the hospital, and I sat and I faced him on a chair and told him I couldn't stay with him. I can't see a way I could be happy with you anymore. I said devastated. I knew I would be no good for him because I couldn't even function myself due to the uncertainty of it all. He needed strength and optimism. I could not provide that. We shed tears and then for the future we didn't have. I'm still trying to come to terms with my decision. At the time, I felt like the worst person in the world. And I know if I heard this story about someone else, I would think they were selfish. This is partly why I wanted to write this article, because it's very easy for society to make judgments. But in situations like this where there aren't clear-cut right and wrongs, sometimes we need to remember we can't judge someone when we are not in their shoes. Jelly.
Really quickly, what she said. This is important because this is why she said she wrote the article. Because it's very easy for society to make judgments, but in situations like this, there aren't clear-cut right and wrongs. Sometimes we need to remember we can't judge someone when we are not in their shoes. Joe understood, as did my family and friends, and he and I remain close friends. Okay. Welcome, Tori. We're deep in the mess at this point, so grab a chair, grab your coffee, water, or tea.
Really understood, as did my friends. He and I remain close friends. That was it.
Did he die?
No, he's still alive.
Okay. If I was in the position of Jelly, I would send the girl away.
True.
That's me. That's because that's me.
That is actually
That's because that's me. I would actually, before she does it, I'm like, yo,
that's fair.
ain't no, but I don't want to. Because that's the way I am. There's other people that you are the way you are, and that's fine. Me, I don't want to see her like that and staying there and being all miserable and shit. Yo, bruv, it was nice. Love is love. You gotta, that shit away.
That's interesting. That's a take I somewhat agree with. The idea of me being in a position where my wife now has to take on an extreme amount of responsibility. Joe is the boy. An extreme amount of responsibility. That feels almost depressing to me. The idea of laying in bed, unable to move or something, and my wife has to like help me to the bathroom or invest in an extreme amount of labor just to be with me is like, it makes me really, really sad for this hypothetical wife, right? So, I mean, maybe that's something I would do. Well, I feel like preachers just saying that. People gonna say that until they become sick. Oh, if I was sick, I would never ask my wife to take care. I would tell her, go out and be free. Go out and find a good man who can walk. Nah, I think people are overestimating themselves. So, but I'm not about to be out here attacking preachers' genuineness.
I would let her go. So, and that's
I
me.
would never want to be an anchor
And
like
you
that. on
and you
somebody.
could be like, oh, this is sin, this is this and that, whatever. I rely on my family and stuff like that. I think that my girl wouldn't do it, but I would still be like, hey, yo, this is doomed right now. Okay. And the way I'm thinking, most of the people really think that sometimes I am negative, where I believe that I am realistic, right? In that case, I'm like, yo, go out, do your thing, live your life, please. I don't want to see that. As a matter of fact, it's on a different scale. Okay, it's like one of my girl go out. My girl doesn't want to go out. She doesn't really like people like that. So if we go someplace, right, or we go to a comedy thing or a gallery.
Curry up and eat. Well, first, Tori Doll says this video is right on time. That's all I'll say. I don't know what sign you got, but it was a sign. Yep, this is your sign, not your sign to leave. Curry up and eat. You say what preach say in hopes the other person stays. Yeah, I'm not going to be disingenuous and say, oh, I hope my wife leaves me. I hope to God she leaves me. Like, I would hope my wife stays, but the idea of my wife staying in, like, is that not like a really bad feeling? Is that not something that you would feel guilt over? The idea of anything like being in a wheelchair, being something like really, really detrimental that you weren't expecting to happen. Those wild scenarios where people are like, what would you do if I lost both my arms? And like the idea of being just a torso and my wife leaving hurts, but the idea of my wife staying also hurts, right? So I don't think it's a situation you're going to win in. I think if she stays, I'm going to be uncomfortable. I think if she leaves, I'm going to be uncomfortable. So why not let her leave and at least one of us is happy? Or alternatively, if you can afford it, maybe get like a nanny or a nurse so that the amount of labor that she has to invest in the relationship doesn't become like extreme. Yeah.
Or something like that. She's going to be next to me, and then she's going to be miserable because she doesn't like it to be here. Now I'm going to be miserable because I'm always worried about her.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be. It happens sometimes. Like, yo, you're not having fun. I'm about to, I'm about to have some fun. Go home. You're not. You cool. I'm cool. I can handle myself.
You cramping my style.
Just because now you're not having fun. You're not comfortable. I don't like you seeing. I don't like to see you like that. So go home and do your thing.
I would hate to be the reason that my loved one is constantly suffering.
Exactly. So if you blow it up in a different scale, I'm in the predicament that he is. I'm like, yo, you can go out and just do your thing, because I don't want to be the reason I see you and you're struggling and no, I don't want to be that person.
Again, this is all time dependent to me. 3 years in, engaged and not married, like I ain't even that mad.
Yeah.
10 years in, married with kids, we having a different discussion.
Yeah, definitely.
20 years in, no, we having a different discussion.
Yeah, we having a discussion.
Right? For them, I know everybody wants to be hyper judgmental, but like I get it. Like, that's death. That's a whole cloud looming over the whole thing the whole time. She's what, in her early 30s? Her chance to have kids. TikTok. Y'all be talking about that all the time. Biological clock, all these things like that. That's a hard one to stomach.
Yeah.
Also, living with somebody with a disability, if that's not what it was at the beginning, and like in the first 2-3 years, you find that person's no longer going to be able to walk or use their body much, like that's another thing too. Like, listen, y'all can say whatever you want. If I get with a girl in the first 2 years and then I find out for whatever reason she can't have sex ever again, move past the sex. If I find out she can't have kids, I will find out she no longer going to have her legs or arms a few years from now. Bye.
I understand.
Well, the part about... Okay, anyway. LB, you had some thoughts.
I do. Okay, and these are like actual like raw thoughts, not fully thought out. So
all right, give it to us.
Disclaimer. Okay, so part of me wants to be like, well, what is it that you valued about this person in a relationship before they say, if it's a physical element, right? Like, if it's something like cancer or autoimmune situation where it taxes your emotional, mental, and physical well-being, that's one thing. But if it's like you lost a leg or arm or you can't have sex anymore, to me, like, was the relationship just physical, or were there like mental, emotional, like, components as well? Because, like, in my mind, if I was with a partner and they can no longer have sex, I might still want an open relationship with that partner. And I think that there's like alternatives to just like scrapping a person, being like, like your parts don't work, so bye.
Welcome, Purple Lover. Thank you for the vibes.
What do you think about that?
Again, I think people are a lot more noble than they will be in the actual situation. Hey, babe, I don't know what. Well, I'm pretty sure there are some like diseases and ailments that can cause a person to not be able to have sex. But if that's something that happens to me, the idea that I'm like, babe, you deserve to have sex. We need to open up this relationship so that you can have your needs met. That sounds very noble to me. I don't even think that's a bad idea. Like the idea that, okay, there are other parts of this relationship outside of sex. So we're still able to have a relationship, but I still want your needs, if that's a need for you, to be fulfilled, so that you don't have to go without it. So let's open the relationship, at least sexually. It sounds good on paper. Well, it don't sound good on paper to me, but it sounds noble on paper. But in practice, I don't think people are actually. Do you think you would actually, if this was something that happened and you were unable to have sex, you would just be like, yeah?
Oh yeah, definitely.
But also, I think like some people are asexual. Some people don't place a high value on sex. I know men tend to. Women, I don't think they do as much. And I do think sex is like one of the less important parts of a marriage, like outside of an emotional and mental connection and all this. So, I mean, it's something I could see working specifically for the sex thing, specifically for like losing a limb, because you can get a prosthetic. I don't know if people have a problem with people with prosthetics or something like that, but specifically for the things where you're now taking on an extreme amount of labor that was not there before.
Well, I mean, like, for instance, in a situation where you lose your limb, like say you before you get your prosthetics and stuff, like you guys used to always go hiking and kayaking and stuff, and maybe you find somebody else that you enjoy doing those things with. Like, you can just have a friend that does those activities instead of scrapping your partner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. There are areas where you can feel something like you might not just. Is hiking something that's really important to you? No. So why does me losing my leg matter? Maybe we can find something else to do that's more like disabled friendly or something like that, or you can continue doing that interest with it. Like, I think it's nuanced, and I think it's going to vary from situation to situation. So
Yeah,
I don't disagree with you.
because like in that example, if somebody like lost an arm, leg, whatever, they can't do some sort of physical activity, and that's where you guys bonded before. It would take work in that relationship to be like, okay, what is it that we actually got out of it? Because nobody likes to just be out in, well, I mean, like, you like to be out in nature, but to just be sweating and hiking and rowing a boat, like, that's not the part that you're there for. You're there for the experience with the person. But it's the experience with the person. Like, for me, like, I would go kayaking and hiking with a friend. But it was more just like having that experience in that time. Like, at the end of our hikes or kayaks, we would talk or whatever. You could still do that without going hiking or kayaking. Like, you go with somebody.
I think there are some people who would like. We're just using hiking and kayaking as an example, but I think there are people who get their pleasure from the thing that they're doing and not necessarily the person they're with. So,
but if that's sorry, but if that's the case, then you can go by yourself.
And then there are people who specifically want to do something like that with their partner. Like you said, maybe what they're there for is specifically that experience with their partner. And maybe that's something they can't get from like going to a regular dinner. Maybe they want to go hike or row a boat or something weird. So, I mean, in a case like that, maybe I can understand. In a case where you just like the hiking, I think, like you said, you can replace that person with someone else or just go alone. Or in the case where you like the community there and having someone there, maybe you can go with someone else, unless you're specifically looking to hike with your wife, which I think will be weird, or husband. Really quickly, what about B. Smith's husband moving his girlfriend in? Moving his B. Smith's husband moving his girlfriend in when her dementia advanced. He said he was able to care for his wife in her $1 million home while getting relationship needs met. I don't know about that at all. I have never heard of who is B. Smith.
I know that situation, and it really depends on whether they had a conversation ahead of time and whether it was an agreement that they came to and she's comfortable with that. Because it's disrespectful if you're just moving somebody in. But like if you talk to your partner about it and you agree that that person could be there, that's different.
Why I just Googled this and found some mess.
He seemed to be disrespectful about the situation, but it would depend on that.
Moving a girlfriend into your wife's home. So wait, so he was freeloaded? Anyway, I'm not going to touch that.
Well, yes, there's that.
I think people have boundaries around their relationship, and if the wife says she's comfortable with having her husband's girlfriend in her house, sure, that's not going to be something I'm ever comfortable doing in my relationship, even if it's an open relationship. But live, laugh, love. Now, I am worried. You said she has dementia, since her dementia is advanced. I would be worried about someone potentially taking advantage of a disabled person, and I would be looking at the circumstances around it. Like, does she know that this is a girlfriend? Is he like, oh, this is my cousin, she's just gonna live downstairs? Like, I would be worried about that. But yeah, I mean, if it works for you, hey, LB says she gonna open up that relationship if she loses the ability to do what needs to be done.
Well, okay, so this is coming from somebody who, like, when I was young, was like, "Oh, I'll get with an old guy, and then I'll hire somebody to sleep with him." But also, on a more mature note, I've like considered. I have like an uncle. He's from like a tribal community, and so like he grew up with multiple. Like his dad had multiple wives, and the way that they described that polygamous situation, it seemed more communal and respectful. Like he provided everything financially. He also was there emotionally, mentally with his wives. And the wives were supports for each other. Like the wives, most of the wives got along. There was one wife that wasn't having it. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, if I'm married to somebody for, I don't know, like 40 years, I promise you, year 10 to 20, somewhere in there, I'm gonna get tired of some aspect of them, and I don't think I would mind somebody else picking up that aspect for a while, giving me a little break, and then like finding community with other women. But this is also coming from someone who connects more with women than with men. So I don't know. I don't know what it's like for someone who doesn't connect with women, like on a deeper level.
Well, maybe I have romanticized long-term relationships and marriage, but in my mind, once we reach the 20-year mark, we're gonna start doing some freaky stuff. The ceiling fan is gonna be
20 years?
involved.
You gotta wait 20 years to get there.
We're gonna go to spin. I don't know how long it takes for people to get bored of each other. In my mind, every night is going to be a new night, and we're just
Like,
the love will rekindle every day, and yeah,
that's really cute. I thought that all that we would have went through all 50 Shades by like year 5.
we're gonna
Like,
get the whips and chains and
I don't know.
Outside, talk to the neighbors. Me and my wife just thought you looked very cute, or whatever they say. It's Spencer's or wherever the store is called. Hot Topic. I don't know what it's called. Where you go in the back.
So you picking up thirds and stuff?
Look, we're gonna do what we need to do for that marriage to be strong and new and fresh.
Okay, so you're gonna consistently like work to make it new and strong and fresh, but you're open to bringing other people into it.
No.
You said something about a third. You were going to talk to the neighbor and tell the neighbor girl she was cute.
In my mind, me and my future partner will be able to maintain strong feelings and freshness in the marriage. throughout the marriage forever.
Wait,
And
so what was the part about the neighbor girl? You're gonna tell the neighbor girl she cute?
no, don't worry about that. Don't worry about all that. Don't
I
worry
thought
about
I
what me
thought
and my
that you were opening
hypothetical.
up stuff, like, because I'm
Wh-
like, what's the wouldn't it be better to just have like another wife?
Why are you trying to find out what me and my hypothetical person are doing together?
Because I feel like there was a little judgment with the polygamy situation, but then when you talking about bringing in thirds for fun, I feel like it's more respectful to have another wife than to have like a side piece, little girl from next door. I'm just saying.
Hope says, I will be the bad guy today. Men leave women for gaining weight, so I reserve the right to leave for any reason. Well, I've been pre-said they're going to leave. If you lose a limb, if you can't have sex with me, I'm going to leave. So I guess y'all are on one accord. Let's see. Let's finish the video. Let me see how much time is left. Yeah, let's try and finish it quickly. Let's try and get out of here before 2 hours.
Okay.
That she left. I understand that she left with the circumstances and everything and stuff. It can be like take a toll on you. Okay, was it selfish? Absolutely. Yes, it was. I don't think that being selfish is inherently a bad thing. It's a thing, right? And depending on whatever, how you do it, it becomes a good or bad thing. But yes, you were thinking about yourself and your well-being and how you would, and I understand that, and your feelings were gone. You did the selfish thing. You said, let me duck out of here because I'm not going to be happy. If you figure that you were not going to be happy, and you didn't view your man the same way, that's for you. I understand that. But if miraculously he becomes better and he finds another girl and he's happier than then you get. I want to go back. No, I can't. Me on the side of jelly. If I saw that, no, you can't go back. I can't rely on you. You was not there for me. So I could. We're friends and everything and stuff. But no, you can't get some of this back.
Well, what do you say to somebody who said she was about to be married to this guy through sickness and then health? What do you say to those people?
Yeah, she didn't get married to him.
She got engaged. She was about to.
She didn't get married to him, so she didn't sign the vow.
Do you think that would have changed something?
Nope.
Okay.
And to those people, I say it is what it is. I think those people that say through sickness and I think you're right. But some people, like again, we said that before, right? We already had this conversation where
talk that shit.
Marriage to some people is not really what the vows and everything and stuff. It's really about the wow, the pizzazz, the gold, the ring, the ceremony, the showing off to people, the boasting. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what they want. That's the wedding date. They want the wedding date. They don't want a marriage. They want a date. They want that day where everything is all about them and they want to live that. Maybe that's that as well. They don't think about the vows. Motherfuckers don't think about the vows. Even when most people, I could say this, that most people, when they say them vows, they don't really understand the vows. When they sign the paper, it's not really about the vows in the paper. Most people. I could say that.
I think I think a lot of people who are doing all this talking, they got their own breaking points. They got their own things that if their partner wasn't doing or wasn't able to do, they would cut.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of these men be like, see, women aren't alone. If you find out your girl wasn't down to bang you no more, or if your girl, let's say, lost the ability to have kids and y'all never had kids, I think a lot of you guys would abstain.
Everybody got a breaking point. So through when they say all that shit, through thick and thin, through.
I mean, I don't disagree with them. I guess I'll let them finish because I just don't disagree with them, and it's only 2 minutes left. But like I said, I feel like people in the comments, but ain't nobody about to. Do y'all really think these people are out here for better or for worse, or do you think they're just saying it? Because I think they're just saying it. Curry third leg. Can't read that one. Welcome, Kenny. Hello. You came during a ghetto. Well, the whole stream is ghetto, so I'm gonna stop saying that. You didn't come during a ghetto part. It's fine. Let's let them cook for a little bit more.
Bad and good through this and that. Yeah, okay. If you like anything in the Bible, basically.
Yeah.
Like anything in the Bible or anything in any holy books. I'm religious. Yeah. To what extent? I believe in those things. To what extent? Okay. And then again, I'm not saying it's good or bad. No. I don't care. That's your business with who you connect with. That's on you. That's not on me. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
And it's
I think people sent me this article because they would be like, yo, look at this bitch showing up.
Nah.
Listen, if I was dating some girl and I really, really wanted to be with her and I found out she probably only got 3 years to live, not gonna lie, I don't think I could handle that.
There's not a lot. And there's not a lot of people that could.
Yeah, it's different when you 20 years ain't married. Like, if I was with the same person for a day, okay, we talking something different. If we, like, in the first 2-3 years and I find out you dying in 4 or 5, I might be like, I don't think I can handle that.
Oh, I would if I
some
was,
people are like, I don't give a fuck.
if I
That
was,
is I'll say this. At the end of this, she said, listen, you haven't been in that person's shoes. You can't judge. I think you can judge. Just be honest.
Mhm.
Ask yourself some tough questions.
Mhm.
What is your breaking point?
What's the point where you say no?
What's your breaking point? And be honest.
My breaking point. I didn't know this was a breaking point for me. People who clink if you're eating in a with a, not a metal bowl, what's it called? Like a ceramic bowl and a metal spoon. And you're like clinking your spoon on the side, eating soup or cereal or something. That's my breaking point. I'll leave for that before I leave you over a terminal illness. I will.
Think about what the worst things that can happen within the dynamics of a relationship or marriage that are 3 years in. At what point are you saying, I ain't going to continue with this? Just ask yourself the question. If your person gets a needle and they have AIDS, you going to stay with them? They get in a car accident, lose both their legs, their arms, they scarred up. You going to stay with them? Some of you are going to say yes, and maybe that's true for you. I just want everyone to be honest about what they can or can't handle. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because a lot of you are fronting on the internet talking about, I would stay no matter what. I stay no matter what. A lot of the people who say stuff like that have never been in those kind of scenarios or those kinds of dating dynamics.
Oh, I mean,
Why I don't know why I know? Because people who are in those kind of situations with disability will tell you it's often a problem with the people I date. There's not enough people who are honest about the fact that they would have an issue with that, and too many people virtue signal it online.
Mm-hmm.
Go ask disabled people how easy it is to date. Somebody lying. And I guarantee you it's probably the people in the comment section.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Anything else you want to say?
No, sir.
All right. We want to hear from you. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments.
What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Let's see what these comments say. I'm disabled, have been all my life, but you wouldn't know to look at me. Anyways, I'm a good person. Guys like me, I'm a good person. Guys like me, but been single over 10 years. My last relationship. Oh, well, grammar is not a thing today, but it's fine. My boyfriend's family discouraged him about dating me, even though I'm a good person and whole family liked me. But he told me things his family would say concerning my health only, but he would be honest with me. This is hard to read, y'all. It's in all caps and there is no grammar whatsoever. But he would be honest with me and never let that stop him from dating me. Guys now assume and ask me what's wrong with me when I tell them I'm childless and haven't been in a relationship in a long time. I don't have kids because I'll never have a child out of wedlock and be a single mother. Not that I couldn't do it. It'd just be extremely hard on me, and I'd have to burden my family for a lot of help with not just me, but a child too. I honestly don't know if I'll ever get married because men want or prefer young women, and I may not look like it, but I'm almost 40. I'd like to have a committed relationship that leads into marriage, but I'm a realist and don't see it happening in this dating climate. I'm also very religious, so it's hard having and maintaining a relationship as a disabled person if you don't find someone who really cares. Not all disabled people have my story. I'm sure there's plenty of people with happy, healthy relationships. Just speaking on me, I don't blame anyone that's honest to say, I can't handle your illness as long as you're honest with your partner. So they're telling you to leave as long as you're honest. It'll be your thoughts. That was a long read.
Yeah.
They in the comments, why are you screaming at us? The pen of innocence. Mm-hmm.
Did that start out with I am a good person?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that point. Okay, so I think that, like the person said, it's important to just be honest because it's going to be more hurtful if you say that you can commit and that person has hope and then you like slowly start to do dumb stuff because you really can't handle it, or you just leave them because you get overwhelmed, which is natural, but like just be honest about where you're at up front. And I'm a good person. That's concerning. I think that maybe there's more to that. It's been 10 years. And like I said earlier, Google exists.
What do you think about this? There's a comment that says, I stayed with my fiance who was battling and slowly dying of brain cancer. During that time, I found out, surprise, I was pregnant. He passed away when our daughter was 5 months old. I knew I would struggle, but 14 later, it was the best decision I ever made to stay by his side to the end. How do you feel about not necessarily taking care of someone for the rest of your life and having an extreme amount of labor to do, but maybe having like a temporary laborious relationship with a
Oh,
known,
like someone that's dying.
yeah, with a known death coming? So you think they should stay till the end?
How soon are they dying?
6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, got you. I could do 6 weeks.
6 months,
I could do 6 months.
6 years.
Absolutely not. I'm 30. What?
Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, buddy, you're gonna have to move it along. Like, okay.
Like, is it good to this now or later? Like, you want to go to Washington?
Okay, so your threshold is a couple years.
I mean, if they got 6 years, is it possible that like they could have like some sort of experimental treatment and be okay? Like,
No,
6 years long.
no,
Usually, I feel like
it's
it's
coming.
like you have a couple
They
years.
might get 7 at the best. Just, no, you still.
I don't know. Like, is it like
What
it
happened
depends
to
on
what
how
happened
the
to your?
relationship is.
What happened to your? Oh, let's just open the relationship so I can find my needs elsewhere.
Oh yeah, that's still an option. If they're willing to open the relationship, then like I can make it last till the end. But um it depends on like the quality of the relationship, what I'm in the relationship for, like what I am I still benefiting, are they still benefiting, or are we just kind of like doing a weird guilt thing I'm in a resentment thing. Because I think when people are cared for and they feel like they're burdening you after a while, if you're not honest with them about how you feel, they get resentful of the fact that you're doing it to be like a good person instead of doing it because you care for them.
Whew. But you say you're gonna make it abundantly clear. You're not gonna
Huh?
beat her. You said you're gonna make it abundantly clear though. You're not gonna bushing around the beating.
No, I'm gonna like be honest about it. Like, ooh, this is rough.
So if
So
you're on
like,
like
how do we want to handle this?
if you're on like week 5 and he's like the doctor did the procedure and it worked, I have 6 more years, but that's all. You're gonna be like, I thought this would be.
That's so horrible. But
I thought this would be that's good news. So I feel I should leave because
yeah, I'd be like, that's good for you. Now let's talk about the 6 years.
okay, well,
That's so messed up. But honestly, yeah, we would have to have a conversation to see like what we want and if they even want me to be there. Because some people might not want you to. Like, for instance, say I'm in a relationship. I'm 30. I don't want to have kids, but say I wanted to have kids, right? And I'm 30, and my partner knows that they're probably going to die in about 6 years. So in 6 years, I'll be 36. Way more complications with like pregnancy, right? So, I'm thinking like I'm not going to immediately have a baby when I meet somebody at 36. So way more complications with pregnancy in your 40s. Now, if my partner cared about me and loved me and knew what my intentions are, either we're going to make a plan where I get to have a child that's supported, or where we remain friends, but I continue to date because that's not something they could give to me, or that's not something that I want to do with them. Because one thing, if I had a child, definitely not doing with somebody who's about to die, because I want my child to be able to have parents, multiple, not just me. I don't even want to do it by myself. So like absolutely need another person that ideally is supposed to be here.
wait, they're in the comments still talking about the cereal.
Cereal.
Don't worry about it. Sorry. Hope says, on a serious note, this might be sad, but none of us are owed a partner or person. Agree.
True.
You said you're not going to have the baby. What say you about the comment I read before you responded to it? And she found out she was pregnant and he passed away while their daughter was 5 months old. Do you think that was a good decision? Do you think that was like a selfish decision? Was it selfless or?
I can't really speak on that because I don't know the specifics of their relationship.
I feel like if you know one of the parents isn't going to be there, I probably wouldn't have the child.
I'm speaking as somebody who does not want to raise a child alone, which is why I don't want to have
that's
kids.
the selfish aspect, but the other aspect is I'm bringing a child here without a father. So to not bring the child, you can say, "Oh, that's selfish because you just don't want to do the work." But also to bring the child, I feel like you're birthing them into um, less than ideal conditions already. Well, not less than ideal, but like I would say poor.
Well,
If you
that
don't know the
child still
fathers.
has
Hmm.
their father, and maybe the quality of life or the quality of like what they're able to do together isn't that great. And then you still have the option of providing another parent to that child later in life. So I don't think you're necessarily robbing that child of anything. And then like my bias from being in a single parent home, like there's other male, like if you're worried about the child having a male figure, there's other people that can serve as male figures in that child's life. So it goes deep down into that rabbit hole, but I don't think that that's necessarily doing something horrible to the child, especially depending on the financial situation, the community support. It's a really like, it depends on the situation type of thing.
Well, you have more faith in the community than I do. Last thing, and then
No, I'm not talking about like just any community. Like for instance, in my family, I know I could have a whole child and take them to like, and not something I would do. I could have a whole child, take that child to my mother's house. That child will be taken care of and spoiled by my entire family, and my family will like take turns caring for this child. Like if I just like I could have a baby and drop them off with my family, and that child would be okay. Well, probably not emotionally, mentally, but they would be physically and financially taken care of.
yep, dropping them kids off with their grandma,
I'm
grandma
not
and
gonna
grandpa.
do it, but like I know that I have that type of support.
That's what I'm gonna do it too. Hey, hey, mom, guess what? You get to babysit again. Yay!
I have the type of family where they'll act like they're like, well, they might actually be disappointed or angry, but they'll act mad about it, but then they'll fall in love with the baby and then just like do everything for the baby.
Act. Okay. Last thing, and then we can close out. Just there were a couple of comments regarding she's writing articles feeling sorry for herself while he's literally dying. She left him in his time of need and made the whole thing about you. How do you feel about I feel like this is difficult to I feel like people are being disingenuous with their approach here. I mean, I would agree probably on the article specifically, but the idea of you having a struggle while your partner is dying, I feel like people are being dismissive, kind of. Like, oh, it feels like it sucks that I have to literally change his diaper and move him, and I have to like take time off of work to be a caretaker, and that we're struggling significantly because of this, and this is a real detriment to my mental health. It feels like that's kind of being dismissed because he's dying. So who cares? He's dying, right? Well, who cares what you're going through because he's passing? So um, how do you feel about, I guess, do you feel like this is something that people are able to talk about without being dismissed?
I
If, mhm.
I think that the article gives a lot of people the ick, and they're just like, "Ew, you're disgusting, go away." But I think if the article wasn't part of the situation, that some people would still do the same thing. Like if you came to them to confide in them about how you're feeling, it's not about you. The person's dying. The people who do that are kind of trash too and give me the ick as well. I think that when you're dealing with a death, it's affecting the person that's dying, but it's also affecting all the loved ones and caretakers that are around. And I say caretakers because not only family, but even like hired help that is caring for dying people, like hospice care and stuff. There's a toll on those people too. And they have a right to like have feelings about it, to seek help in community, to work through it. That's why there's like grief groups and things like that.
Okay. Um, so your issues with the article, not
Yeah,
necessarily.
she should have went to a damn grief group or have a friend call a family member or something. Like
Um,
she could have wrote a, if she was really genuinely trying to help other people who feel similar ways, she could have wrote an anonymous article instead of writing an article with her name and pictures and stuff in it. Like because that takes the attention off of the purpose of the article. It takes it off of
I mean,
the person who's dying, and it also takes it off of the message of it's okay to grieve.
in my mind, I agree with you about the last part, but I don't want the article to be about the person and what they're going through. I specifically want it to be, I agree with you, it could have been more useful. That's my critique of it. It could have been about this dynamic, but it feels like that was a passing thought. It feels like she mentions it once or twice that, oh, she was scared to come out with this because of how it might look, but people shouldn't judge. Like, no, in my mind, that should be like the main point of the article, the idea that you can't voice your struggle also in something like this outside of a you said like a help group or something like that, or just keeping it to yourself or bottling up inside, because to do so seems dismissive of your fiance who's literally dying of brain cancer. I feel like she could have wrote I feel like you could have wrote an entire article about that, the type of turmoil that you feel, the type of guilt that you feel, how bad that you feel, and how if you open up to people about this, you'll feel even worse, and how it feels like you can't even feel what you're feeling, even though in my mind your feelings around something like that could be justified, can definitely be justified. So I mean, yeah, the article could have gave more, and it didn't. So I will give that critique. With that being said, I think this is a good stopping point. I'm going to play my interlude, and then we can have a short after show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're not. But you should all be subscribed. So, yeah.
You really want to catch fucking 350 pounds of dude in your ass?
Of course.
Sounds like a good time.
That's a good time to me. He hop on my meeting, he start riding me. I said, Daddy, don't stop it. Look how he drop it. Just like a pilot, I'm all in his cockpit. I lick the cock tip, I let the cock drip.
Shout out to Dick Bar for those bars. So we're going to end with a meme, lighthearted meme. I'm still wondering if eating wet cereal versus dry cereal by hand transfers more germs. I have no idea where the conversation in the chat went. Oh, no idea.
Is that a Dusty question from earlier?
I said I don't like it when people eat and their spoon clinks on the side of the bowl if they're eating cereal or soup or something. And now they want me to go over the dynamics of wet versus dry cereal and what constitutes leaving a relationship as far as your partner eating wrong. Let's see. Here's the issue. Your partner like chewing loudly. When you think about something like terminal illness, this is something you can take care of your partner. You can provide care for them. You can give them a nurse. There is no improving someone who clanks their spoon on the side of a bowl. I know some people were saying get plastic bowls, get plastic utensils. Why do I have to treat my partner like a child? That doesn't make sense to me. I'm just going to leave. I don't date children. So
could you talk to them and say, hey, babe, this really bothers me?
No, that's childish.
It's childish to have open dialogue with your partner?
It's childish to have open dialogue about this spoon.
Okay, so you need them to come with etiquette.
Yeah, they need to come. Like, I'm not about to have a conversation with my partner about, I think you could, after you use the restroom, I think you should wipe after and like clean. I don't think you should pull your pants up and leave. Like there are some that you're a child. I'm not about to have a conversation with you about this.
That's
standard, right?
That's fair. Because if I go on a date and you're like smacking on your food, I'm not going on another one.
Okay.
So I guess that's similar. Yeah.
Let's end on this question. Actually, I won't play the meme because I can't find it. Yeah, let's end on this meme. Let me pull it up. Very important question, like really, really important. Let me see if I can find it. And I'm going to say it's important because of what you just said regarding if you were going on a date and somebody was doing something like that.
Oh, please don't play somebody smacking.
Nope. That's not what I'm doing.
Okay, thank God. That grosses me out so much.
Here is the question. Anyone in actually, let me make a poll in the comments. How did I forget I can make polls? Where is it? I don't want to say it out loud until I make the poll. I don't want to. Okay, here we go. Let's copy and paste this. Do you refer to your parents as mom and dad, mommy and daddy, sir or ma'am? How do you refer to your parents, LB?
I think I put a comment in response to that poll. It's a bit complicated. None of those. I absolutely will not use daddy. I think it's disgusting.
Excuse me?
It actually grossed me out just to say the word just now.
Okay, the polls in the thing now, because I need to see something. Somebody said somebody slandered people who use the words that I use. Is Super Chat ever coming back? I'm actually eligible to be to apply for monetization again tomorrow. I was declined because YouTube doesn't like my content as far as whether or not it's gay to give the homies head. I think they're trying to silence me. And I filed an appeal after I was declined. I was approved, but they declined. They removed it after at some point, like a month after. And then I reapplied and they said, no, you have to take these videos down. I will vehemently fight to keep up any video where we talk about real issues, especially issues in the Black community, issues that have been plaguing the Black community regarding thought-provoking questions such as, would you rather suck D or watch your mama die? Or whether or not it's gay to give the homies head, of course. So the idea that YouTube is trying to silence these ideas and that they would withhold money for my work talking about those engaging topics is disgusting to me. And I will not yield, and I will not remove those videos. I will simply fight. I will take it to court for my freedom of speech, the third right or the First Amendment, whatever it is. I will take it to court, and I will fight for my ability to do that. So maybe tomorrow if they approve me, but they want me to cut the.
That's so rude.
Yeah, right. Like, excuse me. It's like they actually don't want men to improve in society. These are things that I believe would bring men closer together. They would probably improve male and female relationships as well.
You don't
Mhm.
have you have an 18 and up channel, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so we all grown here.
yeah.
We want to have real conversations about whether it's gay to give the homie head.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now soon we'll have the conversation about whether or not girls giving each other head is gay, which it is. So that's one.
It's gay if we do
Maybe
it, but it's
I
not gay
feel
if
like
you do it.
and this is the problem I talk about all the time. Men have it so hard.
You play so much.
Men just have it so hard in this society. Okay, let me see what the comments say. 20% of people are saying mommy and daddy. 40% of people are saying mom and dad. No one said sir or ma'am, and 40% said other. Let's see some of the other in the comments. It depends. Let's see.
Ooh, yeah, post your others because there's so many others.
I started calling my mom mother to annoy, and it stuck. So that's why I call her that to this day. Let me find out y'all are out here disparaging Black women. Let me catch y'all in these comments telling on yourself. I never use daddy. It's sexual to me.
Oh, I hate that word. Ew.
It's mom for me, and I call it a day. Yes. Free Prince.petti. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Didn't nobody even write why did all of y'all vote other and y'all didn't tell me what y'all are calling y'all parents? This is the reason why I asked.
Would you like me to go into detail about what I call my parents?
Go ahead. Why don't you call them mommy and daddy? Let's start there.
Oh, that's so disgusting. I do call my mommy mommy. So typically I call my mom mommy. However, I've been told that I'm too grown to call my mother mommy. So sometimes I call her mom or mother. And occasionally I'll call her by her full government name. But that's only when I'm trying to fight because she'll fight me for that one. And For my dad, I used to call him the other D word, but I don't use that word anymore because at somewhere between 7 and 9, I realized that like grown women girlfriends of his were calling him that, and I was initially jealous. I was like, "That's my D word," and then I was like, "Oh, like wait, you call him that too?" And then I was like, "Why does she call him that?" And then I found out why, and then I was like, "Oh, that's nasty," and it ruined the word for me for life.
Okay. How do you feel about other people calling their mom and dad mommy and daddy?
The
Grown up.
D word is just disgusting because there's too many grown women that call their boyfriends that word in sexual
So
context. Or
if your friend was like, "This is my," oh, so daddy is the only one for you.
I have friends that use the word, and I gag every time they say it.
Okay, so like a ick, but not mommy.
Not mommy. It's not sexual.
So if you're on a date with a man, let me pose a hypothetical to you, and I want you to
Except
answer.
when you say "dommy mommy." I
I
think I've
want
heard
you
you
to
say that before.
wait. What's wrong with dummy mommies?
That
Anyway,
is
let's
sexual
not
and
get
it's
into the dummy
weird.
mommy debate right now.
That is a weird sexual situation
So
that gives me mommy
let
issues.
me pose a hypothetical to you that I want you to answer honestly. You say you don't have a problem with the word mommy outside of dummy mommy. Let's say you're on a date with a man who's charming, funny, and sweet. In the middle of the date, he gets a call. He picks up the phone and says, "Hi, mommy." You didn't get the ick just now. What the kids
Why do
call
you
the
say
ick.
it like that though?
You go, I don't know how people who say mommy say it. I assume it's like that.
I look so
Hey, mommy. How are you,
when I
mommy? No, I don't think
call
they say it like that.
I'm a mommy user, right? But when I call my mom on the phone, I say, "Hey mom, hey mother," right? And then but if I'm referring to her, I say mommy.
Mm.
My mommy. Or like if I call out to her, I
How
might
you
call her
said
mommy.
nobody says it like that?
Okay, you
You
know
just
what?
said
It
it like
might
that.
actually be gross. I might have to stop doing that because if a guy did it, I would be grossed out. I wonder. I don't know what it's like for a guy to hear a girl call their mother mommy. I feel like it's more endearing though, and like coming from a guy, it does come across like. I think it's just scary because we don't want you guys to be like extreme mama's boys in a way where we're like competing with your mother.
Mm.
I've been in one of those relationships before. It's not fun. Like, so if I heard a guy saying mommy, it would give me like PTSD flashbacks to my first relationship where the mom was competing with me and I would just run away. But that's my personal bias and I understand that it's like a double standard.
Let me find out y'all have some mommy slander. Mommy slanderers. How dare y'all? How dare y'all? It is abhorrent to me that grown women get to use the word daddy, but grown men don't get to use the word mommy. It is
Can we
misandry.
just scrap both of them? I'll scrap it. If I never have to hear that word again, I will stop calling my mother mommy.
Okay, we can all agree there. So, with that being said, we're all on one accord. Nobody should be using mommy or daddy out here in these streets. It is a ick giver, what they call a ick giver. So, with that being said, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you LB for coming up to speak, as well as I forgot who else came up. But thank her too for coming up to speak. And thank everyone for watching. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you haven't already. And have a good night, everybody.
Good night.